Hello, my name is Yeji, otherwise known as ANdmadeco here on YouTube and on Instagram. Today I have an exciting video of a couple of new finished objects as well as a couple of new works in progress and some new spring plans as well as some acquisitions I'd like to share. And also, I know we're approaching 1,000 subscribers, so I will do a small giveaway at the end of this video. We'll jump right into what I'm currently wearing. I'm wearing my first finished object of the week, and this is Alpine Bloom by Caitlin Hunter. I've mentioned this in a few episodes previously, but I just finished it. I had mostly the stockinette and the plain portions to go. I was almost done the color work last week, and so I was just able to finish that as well as do the lace trimmings on the sleeves and such. This is the third consecutive week where I finished a garment, and it's largely because this is a t-shirt, the Anchor Summer shirt was a t-shirt, but it's also because I had multiple objects on the needles at one time during March, and that usually doesn't happen for me, so I feel like I'm on a roll with finishing garments, and now I have nothing left to finish, but I want to get into the details of this garment as well as how I feel about it. So the Alpine Bloom does go up until a 68-inch bust, but it is recommended to have a 2 to 8 inch of positive ease. And I would say I'm more on that 2-inch range rather than the 8-inch. I made a size 2 on the recommended needle, which is a US 4, a 3.5 millimeter needle for the body of the sweater. And for the ribbing, I didn't use a 3 millimeter needle as is recommended, but rather a 3.25, a US 3, just because that's what was on hand at the time. The yarn I use for this t-shirt is Sonder Yarn Co. Fleece and Flax, and this is in the colorway All of You, and it is a fingering weight yarn in 75% BFL and 25% linen, and as you're knitting it, you can see the linen pieces. I had to pick out some of it, but it feels really soft on the skin. It's not itchy at all, and I can't wait for it to get even softer with future washes, but also because it has wool in it, it's not something I would put in the washing machine. And the color changing yarn that I used is Spin Cycle dyed in the wool, and I used two different colorways. The first is a leftover that I had from my husband's or from a cardigan I've knit my husband before, and that's in Soft Power. And then the majority of the sweater is done with Big Sky. And I think you can kind of see a demarcation here of where I changed from Soft Power to Big Sky, but you really can't tell a difference. I think it blends in quite well. And for the Spin Cycle yarn, this is how much I have left over. So if you would like to make this in a size 2, then you definitely need more than one ball of Spin Cycle. I think even in a size 1, it's recommended to have more than one. And so I would suggest definitely going for more than one. I think I had maybe 20% of a ball left over, so you definitely don't need a full ball, but I was so lucky to be done the last row and this be all I had left, because I don't think this is enough even for one more row. And for this t-shirt, I follow the pattern basically exactly, except for one minor change, which is that the sleeves have a longer lace portion that's recommended, but I took out some repeats of that lace portion and I matched it to what the collar is so that it's shorter, just because I thought that it would look better on me with a shorter lace section with matching lace sections on the sleeve as well as the collar. The lace section is interesting because it is knit bottom up, so you graft it onto the sleeves after, but it's also not a hard graft because there are purl ridges in the lace section just before you graft it. So when you do graft it, even if you make mistakes and you're a couple stitches off at the end, like I was for one of the sleeves, I was watching TV or something while doing it, I wasn't paying attention, and so you really can't tell. I didn't go back and fix it because nobody would be able to tell, even myself. So I was really unbothered by it, and I think that it looks really great. I really like how the t-shirt lays, except the armhole is slightly deep. So I guess that is a product of having a round yoke and such a large color work section on a yoke, but maybe if the armhole was a little less deep, I would have been even more happy with the fit of this garment, but I'm just really happy to also have something done from my Make 9. I think it turned out really beautifully. I really love the Sonder Yarn Co. yarn with the Spin Cycle. I think that the two play off each other really nicely, and it is a floral look. I love flowers, as I have said before and as I've shown before in previous projects. So I'm just so happy with how this turned out. There are some short rows before you start the colorwork section for the back, and it does raise the back a little bit, but I don't think it raises it a ton. There isn't any awkward gaping on this part of the shoulder. Sometimes there is with, especially with wool and hand knit garments when it doesn't lay completely flush against the skin. But I think with this t-shirt, that's not going to be an issue. So I think I'll be getting a lot of wear out of it in this season, in the spring season. For my color work, I think I caught my floats maybe in 2 or 3 rows where it would go over 11 stitches without having anything in between. That's when I would catch my floats, but otherwise I left it as is. And after I blocked it, I didn't see any puckering, and it lays really well. The Sonder Yarn Co., because it is 75% BFL, it blooms beautifully, and it also fills in a lot of these gaps, as well as the spin cycle is usually used for a lot of color work, I think because it works so well in that manner. And I'm really happy that I did it in this with these color choices. Overall, I am super happy with how Alpine Bloom has turned out. I love how the colors of the spin cycle with this olive color in the background play against each other. And I also really like the fact that I started it in Korea and continued the majority of the color work in Hong Kong. So I'll always have those memories with me when I wear it. And it feels very comfortable on the skin. I really like how the overall shape of the tee is. The length, I didn't change anything about it. I knit until the Caitlin Hunter set 2 for the body, and it fits really well. My ribbing might be maybe half a centimeter longer, but that's also just a couple of rows I think that I added. I'm really happy with everything. If there is one thing I get really critical about, it's that there is a little bit of bunching here in the armpits because of the deep round yoke. And I don't know if that can be eliminated in any way with such a deep yoke, but because I love how the color work looks, I think that's something that also doesn't bother me a lot of the times. And when I'm wearing it and I'm just going about my day, I do sometimes feel that the sleeves can kind of ride up on my arms. And maybe if I had done the longer lace, that would have been eliminated. But I think it might just be because the sleeves might be a little tight for my arm size. I'm not sure. It might have to do with the construction of it, of the garment. Who knows? Overall, I'm very happy. I'm so excited to be done another item on my Make 9, and I just seeing all the items getting crossed off one by one also is very exciting for me. I can't wait to wear this out in the season, in the spring season, and although the cherry blossoms and a lot of the flowers on our streets have kind of died down, I will go searching for other flowers where I can take pictures in front of, because I love flowers, as you've seen from last week, and all the floral motif things that I've worked on in the past. And so we'll see what happens in the future for future works and how I can incorporate more flowers in that way. But for this garment, I'm definitely happy with how it's turned out, and I don't really have much other things to say about it other than to sing its praises. My next finished objects are the items that I finished first on April 1st, but I didn't show it in last week's video because they were still blocking and drying, and I wanted to have them all perfectly dried to show you. And I love how these socks have turned out. This is Tally Alley by Michelle Frazetta, and it is an all-over colorwork sock, and the colorwork motif is super easy to memorize. You get in the groove of it, and it kind of becomes just a fun piece to do, because it's not just stockinette round and round, but it's also not, you don't have to use your brain for it once you see where it's going. And so I am so happy to have this completed. The colors that I used for it are Vibrant Violet Stroll Fingering from Knit Picks for the pink, as well as the contrasting color is Madeline Tosh Twist Light in an unknown colorway that I got gifted from Betsy from Maker's Night. And I'm so happy with how it's turned out. I think that the color work has turned out really beautifully. There are a couple of mistakes that I've made that I'll show you. I knit a size medium with a US 1, a 2.25 millimeter needle for the entire sock, because my color work is looser than my regular stockinette, just because I leave a lot of slack, I guess. But in color work, I made a mistake here, and so I only have 3 rows here. I remember working on this in a hotel room in Korea, and I realized that I made a mistake and I was like, okay, whatever, I'll just make sure to have it so that it at least looks somewhat even. And this is what happened. And then on my second sock, when I was working on it here, I accidentally, after I did the shadow wrap heel, I guess I didn't resolve a heel stitch correctly. And so I have 2 rows. So this is 1 stitch wider. And I have 2 rows of just plain stockinette in the main color, but I don't think, I mean, when you're wearing it, nobody will be able to notice. And when it's on, you can't really tell that there's a difference. The only thing is my gauge has turned looser because after I finished this pair of socks, or this one sock, I realized that, oh, because some of these stitches do go, I think 9 across is the longest you go. And so I had to make sure that I left enough slack so that my heel could get in, and I overcompensated a bit for my second one. So my second sock is a little bit looser and therefore a little bit bigger as well. And so I'm not sure if you can tell a difference like this. I don't think you can, but you can also see that all of my floats are just hanging out, and the floats, you can catch them if you'd like. I decided not to because they're just 9 floats. When I put them on, I don't find my toes really getting caught in it. But also if I was to gift it to somebody, I don't know that I would be gifting this pair of socks. I probably would catch my floats in that case. I also did 7 of these little repeats. So each repeat does come in 2 block chunks, but I did 7 of the rows, so 3.5 of the repeats to fit my foot better because I didn't want a super long toe. But because of that, my toe is very short. So because then it became a little too long, you know, when it's not, it's a little too long, but it's also too short to do it any other way. But regardless, my toe is quite short. I think when I'm wearing it, it doesn't seem awkward. I really like how these have turned out. I'm happy that I did go a little bit longer on the foot because I think it fits really well. The shadow wrap heel in this case also fits pretty well. I would say that in a sock like this, because of just how busy everything is, I think this is perfect. If there were decreases, I think it wouldn't have worked out with all the color work in the sock. I'm so happy with how it's turned out. I think that they're super fun. I am definitely willing to do this again. I think it's a really great way to just, do sock knitting, but also have some fun with it. So Michelle makes really fun patterns. I really enjoyed these as well. No surprise there. Those are my 2 completed finished objects, and next we'll jump right into my works in progress. So I started both works in progress this week, and I'll show you the first one. I started my Vertices Unite by Stephen West, and this is also part of my Make 9. I decided that I want to get a hold of I want to be ahead on my Make 9 rather than late because I don't know what I'll feel like by the end of the year. And so I just really think that I'm more of a completionist, so it brings me great satisfaction to see things checked off on a list. And I'll continue doing it until, it's completely not the season for something or I lose interest in it. We'll see. But currently I'm on a roll, I feel like. This is Frankie Gray Fibers in the Midnight Fade from their Hybrid Knit Along kit from 2023, and my husband got this for me for Christmas in 2023, and so I'm using the yarn now. As I've talked about before, I think I was saving these yarns for the perfect project, and one of my things is I want to be less precious with the yarn that I do have and use yarn where I can from the yarn I have. This is how far I've gotten so far, and so I am still on the first section of it. The first section of the shawl is the longest, and I am currently still on the increasing portion. I think I have maybe 60 more rows to go until I start decreasing, so it will probably get quite a bit bigger. But this is the end of the shawl where it goes kind of like this from when he's holding it, and then you have things kind of going modularly all these other places. But I think that the first section is the largest, so that's also nice to know. I am doing it on the recommended needle size, which is a US 4, a 3.5 millimeter needle. And I really like the drape of this fabric. This is a fingering weight yarn and it's also currently pretty drapey. It's pretty soft. So I'm just enjoying working on it when I have the chance, and because it is quite mindless with the increases being basically, this is like a Sophie shawl right now, because with the increases being pretty on a regular pace, I think this is one of those things where I can just work on it whenever, and I'm really enjoying the stripes. So I cannot wait for, I mean, we'll talk about this in the acquisitions portion, but the micro striping is really doing something for me right now. So I'm very happy with how this is going. I feel like I've said the phrase "I'm very happy" so many times now, and I don't know how else to describe my excitement or my contentment, my satisfaction with all of my projects. But it is a good place to be when I am very satisfied and content with what I'm currently working on, and it becomes less of a slog when I'm excited to get through the project. My next work in progress is the Baci Sweater by Monmi Choi, and both of these projects are spring plans that I had from last week's video, and because I had nothing else going on, I decided to cast them on both this week. I just casted this on yesterday, and so I've only done a little bit of it. I'm still working on the back portion. I think I'm basically done the increases though, so I'll just have to knit straight down, and then I'll do the front and the left and right shoulders and all that before joining. But I am really happy with how this cable is turning out. So the Baci Sweater by Monmi Choi is also my Make 9, and it has columns of cables going down and it switches midway through the garment. And I'm so excited for it to get to that stage, although I'm kind of curious to see how it will happen because the switch happens with these columns, but the count of the columns, the number of stitches on these columns is slightly different. So we'll see. I am knitting a size 2 on the recommended needle size, which is a US 10, a 6 millimeter needle. So this is on a large needle, and it's really nice to have both this and the shawl going, especially because the yarn I'm using for this project is Wool Dreamers Manchalopes, and this is an unspun yarn, so I kind of have to baby it. It has to be in one place where I could just take the yarn out. I won't undo the unspun yarn for you because I feel like you've seen it a million times. And this is in the color Azul Cobalto, and I'm pairing it with Tin Silk Mohair in 5845, and this is in the color Dazzling Blue. Together, I think they make a really nice pair. You can see some of the white from the core of the silk mohair showing up, but I don't think that bothers me too much, and I think it adds some nice dimension to the garment. I think it's not something that detracts from it, and the cables are turning out so beautifully. I was kind of worried that without the spin that the cables wouldn't be as noticeable because it is an unspun yarn, but I don't think that's an issue, and I wouldn't also be working on an unspun yarn without pairing it with a silk mohair because I feel like it's just so much nicer with a silk mohair, just holding that strength. It's also easier it feels less breakable when you have that silk mohair as you're working with it with the cable. And I think that even though I'm knitting a size 2, it will fit. I think I'm going to have around 4 inches of positive ease based on the schematics with this size. So this won't be the super oversized fit that the model has. I think it will fit more like a regular sweater, but based on just how this portion of the back is turning out, I don't anticipate that being a problem. I'm pretty sure that it'll fit fine, and I'm just very excited to continue working on this, even though it is something that I have to baby a bit more and it has to sit nicely next to me and my kids can't get to it and all of that. But I do love working with unspun yarn. It's just that I feel like the opportunity to work with it doesn't come up as much or as often as something like the opportunity to work with, Vertices Unite would, where I know the pattern, or it is easily memorizable, it's repetitive, and the yarn doesn't take up much space and doesn't take up much care as well. And for this sweater, I'm really hoping to have it done before the weather gets too warm where I won't even want to work on it, because at this point, even if I finish it in the next few weeks, I probably won't have the chance to wear it. But I'm hoping that even if it takes a couple of months, I'll continue working on it and I won't lose that motivation to work on it just because of the weather. Those are the 2 items that I had from last week that I already started working on, and my 2 WIPs that I'm going on for this week. And now we'll get into plans and acquisitions, but first I want to show off a plan. I have this sock set from Botanical Yarn, and this is it's just called Starlight Knitting Society sock set. And I bought this last year at Flock Fiber Festival, which, 2025, the tickets are out. And I've also bought all of these yarns for both the Spin Cycle as well as the Sonder Yarn Co. also at Flock last year. From my purchases last year at Flock, this is the only thing that I have that I've yet to work with. And I really want to make it a goal for this year as well, for the things I purchased at Flock Fiber Festival this year to be things that I can work on this year or before the next Flock Fiber Festival rolls around. And so I'm really hoping to make a pair of socks with this or do something with this yarn before Flock Fiber Festival rolls around again in August. And I currently don't have any socks or anything or like a small object to work on, just because once the shawl does get to a substantial size, it's not something I can probably bring around to different places. So this will also be a sock set that I've already had in my collection, but that I will be winding up to work on next. So last week I showed these 2 to make the stripe overload cardie because my friend Stella, Milk Enthusiast, she had hers and I was so inspired by it. So I bought 2 more of these skeins, as I said last week. But I also stopped by Tea Cozy this week or this past weekend, and I bought matching mohair to go with it. So because it is on an Aran weight and this is worsted weight yarn, this is Blue Sky Fibers Woolstock Worsted in Midnight Sea and Driftwood. I bought matching, or what I thought would be as closely matching as possible, silk mohair to go with it. So this beige color is in 3021, and I would say that it's almost an exact match. I'm really happy with how these 2 are. And this dark color, I think it's called something with midnight as well, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe navy something. The colors are online, but not on the label, so I'm not 100% sure. And this is in 5581. And this isn't completely matching. I would say that the navy from the Tin Silk Mohair is definitely more cool, more blue, whereas the Midnight Sea is very much a greenish navy. And so I'm interested into seeing how these 2 will pair up, but I don't anticipate it being a problem just because this will also be micro stripes. So even if one does merle a bit more, I think that the beige will catch it and it'll be really nice together. I am so excited to work on this too, even though of course it's not the season to have an Aran weight cardigan or a jacket, but I was just so inspired by my friend that I had to get the silk mohair with it right away. So I got 3 of each of these colors. And while I was there, I was also looking for some summer yarns because I realized from my spring plans from last week that everything was very much not really in season. It was very much leading more towards cooler seasons. And I wanted to also work on things for the warmer seasons. So have one thick garment, one thinner garment going on. And I picked up this, which is Noro Sonata, and it is in the color 30. This is a super pretty lavender shade. It is 35% cotton, 25% viscose, 20% silk, and 20% polymid. And so it's a mix of a lot of different things. It says US 3 to 5, so 3.5 millimeter to 4 millimeter is the recommended needle size. And with this yarn, I'm going to make my Colette Tee, which is also part of my Make 9. I am just on a roll with that. But I discussed in 2 episodes ago about how the white Colette Tee that I had was not draping as much because I used a worsted weight yarn. And I would say this is more of a fingering to maybe sport weight yarn, but I think this will drape beautifully. And the the colors will be the color will be very spring, very summer. Emily did say when I saw her on Monday at Maker's Night that lavender butter yellow has been selling out a lot in the shop recently, and I have definitely gotten that as well, where with all of the flowers blooming, I am definitely more drawn to these types of colors lately. And so yeah, I can't wait to make my Colette Tee with this yarn. Tea Cozy Yarn Shop also does a thing where every month they also have a yarn that's on sale, a line of yarn on sale as the yarn of the month. And this month it's Sandisgarn Line line, so it's everything with the tin line, and I think thick line too. The linen yarn, that's 15% off. I picked up these 3 balls in the color 9825, and this Kermit frog kind of look, this this lime green but not too limey, has been just on my mind. I think a lot of people are knitting with this color. It seems to be something that I mean, even just regular people, like what it just seems to be a popular color, and I've definitely drawn to it. I think this would be a really nice summer tank top, and so especially in this color. I know that Maddie from Buy a Thread Knits also made her, I think it's a cloud sweater in a color like this, and I really like that on her too. So I am excited to use this yarn. I just bought 3 balls. It's enough to make a tank top for me, and I think I'm going to make the Sophorine, which is by Audrey Borrego, and it's a free pattern. I think she made all of her patterns online for free, but it is also quite size inclusive, and so I'm super excited to use this to make that tank top, and I can't wait to see what it's like to knit with tin line, because I've never tried the Sandisgarn line before as well. And while I was there, I also picked up a size US 4, a 3.5 millimeter needle, because currently I have my interchangeable Fortes on my Vertices Unite, but I also wanted it just to be on a fixed circular so that if I needed the size for anything else, then I could always use that interchangeably. But then that the shawl, because it's a long-term or more of a long-term project, would be on a fixed circular, and I didn't have one of this. But also Tea Cozy does carry the Chow Goose as well. Those are all my plans and acquisitions and the things I'll probably be working on this month into May, and then we'll see what else I get into in June and going forward. But I'm really happy with the items I've got currently, and also I have more yarn that I can use, and I have yarn to make the mixed rib cami by Florence Miller, but I think that's more of a summer project, so we'll save that for later and all that. But I couldn't resist picking these items up at Tea Cozy. And speaking of Tea Cozy, because I am reaching 1,000 subscribers, I'm so close, and because it is my birthday on the 16th, it was kind of awkward from when I'm filming to when I'm posting to choose a date of when I would want to do a giveaway, and I think that today's the day. And so I would like to give one person a $100 gift card to Tea Cozy Yarn Shop, and I would like to give 3 different people a pattern of your choice through Ravelry. So it has to be an online indie pattern through Ravelry that I could gift to you through your Ravelry handle or through email. And if you don't have Ravelry and it is an online pattern that you get from a site separately, then I can definitely send it to you to your email. And I think that, and if Tea Cozy Yarn Shop being in the States is not accessible to you, then just please let me know in the comments, and I'll make sure that you get double the entry into getting one of the 3 patterns off of Ravelry, and so your chances are slightly higher. So Tea Cozy Yarn Shop does ship internationally, but with the tariffs and everything happening, who knows? I don't even know if it's worth it to you or worth it to them. So I thought that I would have a couple of different options, but also be supporting my local yarn store. And so thank you again so much for your support. I'll have all the details. It'll include probably commenting on this video. I'll never reach out to you saying that you won, so please be aware of scammers. I'll always announce it in a video. And for this, I will announce the winner of this of the giveaway during the April makes video. So the first video of March will be where I announce the winners. And of course, you can find all the details in the description box below. It'll probably be the first thing that pops up. You just have to be a subscriber, you have to leave a comment, and please like this video. And we'll see where it gets us. And I'm just so thankful again for your support. Your comments are always so encouraging and they mean a lot. I think that's the perfect timing. My birthday being on the 16th and then reaching 1,000 subscribers, it means a lot. And so thank you again for watching. And I will see you in the next video. That's it from me this week. Thank you. Bye.